Take off your hat.
Once upon a time in this great land of ours, before there was the internet or television sets or even a radio, entertainment came to town live and in person in the form of vaudeville. Mostly it was light entertainment, a bill of acts based on variety. But hidden amidst the laughter and applause was a seed of genius that would shape the world of comedy forever. In the early 20th century, vaudeville was a training ground for mass media entertainers like Jack Benny, Judy Garland, and the Marx Brothers, who zigzagged across the country hoping to make it to Broadway or Hollywood. Ted Healy and His Stooges was one of those acts. The act was simple. Healy would try to talk to the audience, being charming and amusing, but he would be interrupted by a couple of obnoxious simpletons, Moses and Samuel Horwitz, later known as Moe and Shemp Howard, according to the official Three Stooges bio. Find out what happened at Curly Howard's funeral, a surprise guest that left everyone in shock. You won't believe who it was. We'll also be telling the untold story of exactly what happened to our beloved Curly Howard. Let's get going. Jerome Lester Horwitz, or as he's better known, Curly Howard, was a comedic genius and actor who created a lasting legacy in the entertainment industry. Born on October 22, 1903, he would go on to become a beloved member of the iconic American comedy trio, the Three Stooges. With his elder brothers Moe and Shemp Howard, along with Larry Fine by his side, Curly brought uproarious laughter to audiences worldwide. In the early days of his career, Curly was billed as Curly, C-U-R-L-E-Y, but it wasn't long before he embraced the unique spelling that would become synonymous with his comedic brilliance. Among the Three Stooges, Curly, C-U-R-L-Y, was the one who captured the hearts of many. His high-pitched voice and distinctive vocal expressions, like the memorable "nyuk nyuk nyuk" and "whoop whoop whoop," became his trademark. And let's not forget his famous "sweetly" that has been imitated by fans for generations. Curly's comedy wasn't just in his words, it was in his physicality. His knack for improvisation, paired with his strength, led to some of the most hilarious moments in comedy history. You couldn't help but burst into laughter as he fell to the ground, pivoted on his shoulder, and walked in a circular motion. This unique style of physical comedy made Curly stand out as a comedic force to be reckoned with. Interestingly, Curly's "woo woo woo" catchphrase, which became a cornerstone of his comedic repertoire, was borrowed from the nervous comedian Hugh Herbert. Curly took this phrase and not only made it his own, but also exaggerated it to perfection. By the time the Stooges' second Columbia film, Punch Drunks, 1934, rolled around, Curly's version of "woo woo woo" was firmly established, forever cementing his place in comedy history. However, like many great artists, Curly's journey wasn't without its challenges. Curly Howard was born on October 22, 1903, in the Bensonhurst section of Brooklyn, New York. Born to Jenny and Solomon Horwitz, he was the youngest of their 5 sons. With Lithuanian Jewish ancestry, Curly grew up in a lively household where his brothers often teased him by calling him Babe. This nickname stuck with him throughout his life, but when his brother Shemp Howard married someone else nicknamed Babe, the brothers started to call him Curly to avoid confusion. As a child, Curly was rather quiet and didn't cause much trouble for his parents, unlike his older brothers Moe and Shemp, who had their fair share of mischievous moments. Despite being a mediocre student, he shone on the school basketball team, showcasing his athletic prowess. He didn't complete his high school education, choosing instead to take on odd jobs and follow his older brothers, whom he greatly admired. Additionally, he had a knack for ballroom dancing and singing, often frequenting the Triangle Ballroom in Brooklyn, and even crossing paths with the likes of actor George Raft. However, tragedy struck when Curly was just 12 years old. While cleaning a rifle, he accidentally shot himself in the left ankle. Quick thinking on Moe's part saved his life, but the injury left him with a thinner left leg and a slight limp. Curly's fear of surgery led him to never correct the limp, a detail that would shape his unique on-screen persona. During his time with the Three Stooges, he adopted an exaggerated walk to mask the limp, inadvertently creating a signature comedic move. It was during this period that Larry Fine, previously a vaudeville violinist and boxer, joined the trio to create the iconic lineup. The team, then known as Howard, Fine, and Howard Three Lost Souls, emerged from the shadow of their former leader, Ted Healy, whose difficult personality and alcohol-related issues made collaboration challenging. When Healy went solo, the Three Stooges found their own comedic path, with Jerome Horwitz, known as Curly, becoming an integral part of the act. Jerome, often called Babe by his brothers, was the baby of the family. Despite his quiet demeanor, he displayed remarkable athleticism, excelling in basketball and ballroom dancing. An accidental gunshot wound resulted in a lifelong limp, but Curly turned this challenge into comedic gold by creating his distinctive exaggerated walk. Interestingly, he faced initial difficulties getting hired due to his appearance. His luxurious mustache and wavy dark hair led Healy to believe he looked too good to be a stooge. Jerome's decision to cut his hair and return led Healy to sarcastically label him Girly, which his brothers misheard as Curly, cementing the iconic nickname. Music and comedy ran in Curly's blood, and he found himself drawn to his brother's performances in Ted Healy's vaudeville act. He often lingered backstage, soaking in the routines and interactions, even though he didn't initially take part. One of Curly Howard's ex-wives revealed a lesser-known facet of his talents, his musical prowess. According to her, Curly had an extraordinary ability to turn almost any object into a musical instrument. He could find music in the most extraordinary items lying around. When they visited nightclubs, Curly would grab 2 spoons and spontaneously join in with the band's music, adding his own rhythm and melody. He was known to creatively tear a tablecloth to the beat, effectively turning it into an improvised musical performance. However, the cost of the damaged tablecloth was later added to his bill, a humorous consequence of Curly's musical spontaneity. Curly Howard's journey into show business took an interesting turn when he made his first on-stage appearance in 1928 as a comedy musical conductor for the Orville Knapp Orchestra. Little did he know that his energetic conducting style, with his arms flailing, would unintentionally lead him to losing his pants on stage. Moe, his elder brother, fondly remembered how Curly's performance often stole the spotlight from the band itself. Even though the gig was a hit, Curly couldn't help but notice the success of his brothers, Moe and Shemp, who, along with Larry Fine, were becoming well known as part of Ted Healy's comedic ensemble. Ted Healy's vaudeville act was gaining immense popularity. His unique routine involved attempting to tell jokes or sing, only to be constantly interrupted and heckled by his rowdy assistants, or stooges. By this time, Healy's group, including Moe and Shemp, had transitioned to the silver screen with their first feature film, Rube Goldberg's Soup to Nuts, 1930. However, Shemp Howard's patience with Healy's abrasive nature, temper, and alcoholism had run out by 1932. Shemp left the act and was offered a contract at the Vitaphone Studios in Brooklyn. In Shemp's absence, Moe suggested that his younger brother Jerry, also known as Curly, could step in as the third stooge. But Healy was skeptical, believing that Curly's comedic skills were limited to simply letting his pants fall down. He dismissed Curly as an amateur, claiming he didn't even look the part. In response to Healy's doubts, Curly took a bold step. He left the room and returned moments later with his head shaved, retaining only a bit of his waxed mustache. Moe and Larry seized this opportunity and began improvising with the transformed character. Moe points at his colleague, Curly, trying to get his attention. Moe said, "Hey, Curly!" Larry, somewhat confused, asks Moe about the name. Larry asked, "What did you call him?" Moe, reiterating, clarifies the name, Curly. Larry, relieved, responds with humor. "That's all right. I thought you said girly." This humorous exchange convinced Healy, and the transformation was complete. Jerry Horwitz officially became Curly Howard. In one of the rare interviews Curly gave during his lifetime, he jokingly lamented the loss of his hair, saying, quote, "I had to shave it off right down to the skin," end quote. As time went on, MGM was focusing on promoting Healy as a solo comedian in feature films. Moe recognized the shift and realized the Stooges needed to take charge of their own destiny. At that point, Healy held the contract with the studio, and he paid each of the Stooges a mere $100 per week. When Healy's contract renewal with MGM came up on March 6, 1934, Moe proposed a clean break. Moe suggested they dissolve the partnership amicably, allowing each party to pursue their individual careers. Agreeing with Moe's suggestion, Healy embarked on his solo journey, leaving the door open for the Three Stooges to establish their own identity. In that same year, they signed on with Columbia Pictures and renamed themselves the Three Stooges. Their third short film, Men in Black, earned them a nomination for the Best Short Subject Academy Award. Although they lost the award to a Technicolor featurette, the film firmly established the Three Stooges as rising comedy stars. Their popularity was on the rise, with Curly's vibrant contributions playing a significant role in the trio's comedic success. After discovering that his wife was pregnant, Ted Healy chose to celebrate in his own way by indulging in alcohol. According to information from E.J. Fleming, cited on playgroundtothestars.com, Healy found himself in a bar where an altercation with three men ensued. This unfortunate confrontation led to Healy being physically attacked by the men. Subsequently, he was left injured in the parking lot, and tragically, he passed away later that same day. The circumstances surrounding his death have given rise to conflicting explanations. MGM, the film studio with which Healy was associated, officially announced that his demise resulted from a heart attack. However, a coroner's report pointed to his alcoholism as the primary factor. Unofficially, it appears that the injuries he sustained during the bar brawl were the actual underlying cause of his death. Regardless of the exact cause, Healy's untimely passing dealt a significant blow to the world of comedy. He is still remembered by fans for the contributions he made to the art form and to the entertainment industry as a whole. Stay tuned, because you won't believe who showed up at Curly Howard's funeral to surprise everyone. During Curly Howard's prime years with the Three Stooges, his unique comedic style and endearing personality captured the hearts of audiences, especially children. His childlike mannerisms and natural charm made him a standout performer, and he had a distinct reputation for having an indestructible head. This trademark of his involved breaking anything that came into contact with his head, leading to the famous line, "Oh, look!" His talent for physical comedy and his ability to bring to life everyday objects through his improvisations set him apart in the world of comedy. Despite lacking formal acting training, Curly's comedic skills were exceptional. Directors recognized his gift and often allowed the camera to roll freely, giving him the freedom to improvise. Jules White, in particular, would deliberately leave gaps in the scripts for Curly to fill in with his spontaneous antics. Looking back, White noted that whenever they needed a little something extra in a scene, Curly never failed to deliver, whether it was a trademark woo-woo or a creative piece of physical comedy. By the late 1930s, the Three Stooges had reached the pinnacle of their success, with their films essentially revolving around Curly's uproarious performances. Notable classics like A Plumbing We Will Go, 1940, We Want Our Mummy, 1938, An Ache in Every Steak, 1941, Cactus Makes Perfect, 1942, and the particularly zany They Stooge to Conga, 1943, showcased Curly's exceptional ability to turn ordinary objects like food, tools, and pipes into hilarious comic props. His talent for transforming the mundane into the comical was a hallmark of his contributions to the trio's work. In moments where Curly momentarily forgot his lines, his quick wit and improvisational skills came to the rescue. Rather than freezing on camera, Curly would often surprise everyone with his impromptu antics. Moe Howard recalled an instance when Curly forgot his lines, leading him to drop to the floor and spin around like a top until he recollected what he needed to say. This spontaneity not only saved the take, but also added an extra layer of humor to the scene. Curly's distinctive expressions and reactions became legendary, influencing not only his fellow Stooges, but also the broader comedic landscape. Some of his iconic catchphrases and gestures include, "Nyuk, nyuk, nyuk," "Woo, woo, woo," "Nyah, nyah, ah." As Curly's comedic talents continued to shine, there were moments of contention and challenges that emerged. Moe Howard harbored suspicions that rising star Lou Costello was borrowing material from Curly's performances. Costello's tendency to study the Stooges films from Columbia Pictures, where they were under contract, seemed to influence his own routines. This eventually led to Curly's signature routines appearing in Abbott and Costello feature films, much to Moe's annoyance. Unfortunately for the Three Stooges, they were not given the opportunity to venture into feature-length films like other comedic duos, such as Laurel and Hardy, the Marx Brothers, and Abbott and Costello, due to Columbia Pictures president Harry Cohn's decision. Despite achieving household name recognition, the Three Stooges faced an interesting paradox in terms of success and visibility during their lifetimes. While they are now celebrated as comedy legends and have left an indelible mark on popular culture, they often found themselves overshadowed by more high-profile acts of their era, such as Charlie Chaplin. Despite their immense comedic talents and enduring appeal, they were not always at the forefront of public attention during their prime years. Unlike some of the other members of the Stooges, Curly did not venture into solo projects before or after his time with the trio. Shemp and subsequent Stooges Joe Besser and Joe DeRita each starred in their own series of theatrical short subjects, either before joining or after leaving the group. Moe managed his finances prudently through investments, while Larry had a tendency to spend money quickly. Curly, on the other hand, enjoyed indulging in a lavish lifestyle, often compensating for his perceived shortcomings with extravagant spending. Despite his movie persona, he was an introvert who sought validation and love, often dating beautiful women to boost his self-esteem. Part of Curly's comedic brilliance stemmed from his difficulty in learning lines. To overcome this challenge, he would invent and perform bits of physical comedy, such as his iconic whoop, 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 or his unique shoulder pivoting motion. These actions allowed him to keep the scene flowing while he tried to recall his lines, contributing to the spontaneous and energetic nature of his performances. Curly's personal life was marked by multiple marriages and 2 daughters. His daughters revealed that the pies the Stooges were known for throwing on screen were often enjoyed by them off-screen. His pursuit of love and affirmation was evident in his relationships and the ways he sought happiness. Despite the challenges and complexities of his personal life, Curly's commitment to his craft and his boundless creativity on screen endeared him to audiences around the world. During the peak of their careers, the Three Stooges became synonymous with Columbia Pictures, where they produced a remarkable series of short films. Their first short for the studio, Woman Haters, was part of the musical Novelties series and showcased the trio's talents with a jazz-like flair in both dialogue and rhyming. This marked the beginning of their iconic collaboration with Columbia Pictures, and their unique style resonated with audiences. Studio executives recognized the Stooges' potential and offered them a 7-year contract, paying each member $60,000 annually. Adjusted for inflation, this would be equivalent to over $1.25 million today. The trio went on to create a total of 97 short films for Columbia from 1934 to 1946, cementing their status as beloved comedic figures. Despite their film success, the Stooges continued to embrace their roots by performing on stage, much like they did early in their careers. Their live performances remained a lucrative endeavor, with the trio dedicating as many as 20 weeks per year to live shows, all while juggling their film commitments. As the years rolled on, Curly Howard's once vibrant energy began to show signs of decline. In films like Idle Rumors, 1944, and Booby Doops, 1945, audiences could observe a change in Curly's demeanor. His voice had deepened and his actions had slowed down noticeably. This was indicative of the challenges he was facing behind the scenes. When reflecting upon the media landscape during World War II, it becomes evident that Hollywood found numerous opportunities to satirize Adolf Hitler. Surprisingly, the first instance of such satire emerged from an unexpected source, the Three Stooges. In 1940, they released You Nasty Spy, a film that took a humorous jab at Hitler's despotic rule. Interestingly, this happened shortly before other notable anti-Nazi productions, including Charlie Chaplin's renowned work, The Great Dictator. Moe Howard's portrayal of the notorious dictator did not go unnoticed, even catching the attention of Hitler himself. As reported by We Are the Mighty, Hitler maintained a list of individuals he wished to eliminate, and the Stooges found themselves near the top of this list. An additional layer of insult was added by the fact that all three Stooges were of Jewish heritage. Despite Hitler's ominous list, fortunately the Three Stooges remained unharmed. During a film shoot, Curly experienced an unexpected mishap that resulted in him needing 6 stitches on his head. Despite the injury, he displayed remarkable dedication and professionalism by continuing to work on the shoot. To conceal the stitches, he wore a wig for the remainder of the shoot, ensuring that the production could continue without interruption. It's believed that Curly may have experienced his first stroke between the filming of Idiots Deluxe in October 1944 and If a Body Meets a Body in March 1945. The toll on his health became evident as he struggled to maintain his comedic vigor. Following the production of the feature-length film Rockin' in the Rockies in December 1944, Curly checked himself into Cottage Hospital in Santa Barbara in January 1945. The diagnosis was sobering: extreme hypertension, a retinal hemorrhage, and obesity. Curly's health crisis necessitated a break from his rigorous work schedule. Moe Howard, his older brother and fellow Stooge, pleaded with Harry Cohn, the head of Columbia Pictures, to grant Curly some time off to recover. However, Cohn was resistant to halting the production of the lucrative Stooge shorts and declined Moe's request. Despite the hardships, the Stooges did manage to secure a 5-month break between August 1945 and January 1946. During this hiatus, they embarked on a 2-month live performance commitment in New York City, performing tirelessly 7 days a week. It was during this New York stint that Curly crossed paths with Marion Buxbaum. In a whirlwind courtship lasting only 2 weeks, Curly married Marion on October 17, 1945. The union marked a bright spot in an otherwise challenging period. However, upon their return to Los Angeles in late November 1945, it was evident that Curly's health had taken a significant toll. Despite the restorative break, he was no longer the same spirited performer he had once been. When their 1946 Columbia schedule commenced in late January, it became clear that Curly was not in his best form. Despite having 8 weeks off in the first few months of that year, his health continued to deteriorate. His voice had grown even more coarse, and he struggled to remember even the simplest lines. The toll on his physical appearance was also evident, with weight loss and lines etched onto his face. The year 1946 marked a significant turning point in Curly's career and health. His final appearance as an official member of the Three Stooges came in the form of Half-Wit's Holiday, released in 1947. On May 6, 1946, while on set waiting to film the last scene of the day, tragedy struck. Curly suffered a severe stroke while sitting in director Jules White's chair, his health deteriorating rapidly. The assistant director's attempts to call him to the stage were met with silence. When Moe went in search of his younger brother, he found Curly with his head hanging low, his mouth distorted, and his speech unintelligible. Moe's account of the scene paints a heart-wrenching portrait of his brother's condition. Moe immediately alerted Jules White, prompting quick reworking of the scene to accommodate Curly's sudden absence. The action was divided between Moe and Larry, and Curly was rushed to the hospital. Moe, too, joined his brother after completing the day's filming. Curly spent weeks at the Motion Picture Country House in Woodland Hills, a facility dedicated to providing care to those in the entertainment industry, before returning home for further recovery. It was a difficult period for both Curly and his family as they grappled with his health challenges. In the midst of Curly's health crisis, another member of the Howard family stepped in. Shemp, Curly's older brother, had been recruited to fill Curly's role during live performances in New Orleans in January 1946. Following Curly's stroke, Shemp agreed to temporarily replace him in the Columbia shorts. An official contract was signed by all 4 Stooges in 1947, with Shemp's joining being stipulated as temporary until Curly could recover sufficiently to return to work full-time. Curly's resilience and determination were evident when he made a brief cameo appearance in January 1947. In the film Hold That Lion, 1947, Curly appeared as a train passenger barking in his sleep. This marked a unique moment in cinema history, as it was the only film to feature all three Howard brothers, Moe, Shemp, and Curly, alongside Larry Fine simultaneously. Jules White later revealed that Curly's impromptu visit to the soundstage led to this spontaneous inclusion. In June 1948, Curly filmed another cameo appearance as an angry chef for the short Malice in the Palace, 1949. However, due to his ongoing health issues, his performance did not meet the desired standard, and his scenes were ultimately cut from the final release of the film. While a lobby card for the short does feature Curly alongside the other Stooges, the audience would never see his appearance on screen. Curly's health struggles continued to take a toll on his life and career. Despite his efforts to recover, he faced ongoing challenges that ultimately led him towards retirement. Still grappling with the aftermath of his stroke, Curly met Valerie Newman, a woman who would bring some light into his life. Their relationship blossomed, and they were married on July 31, 1947. According to friends, Valerie was a positive influence on Curly and genuinely cared for his well-being during these difficult times. However, Curly's health continued to deteriorate, casting a shadow over his newly found happiness. Despite his condition, Valerie gave birth to their daughter, Janie, in 1948. The birth of their child marked a poignant moment in Curly's life, providing him with a sense of purpose and joy amid the challenges he faced. In that same year, tragedy struck once again as Curly suffered a second massive stroke. As a result of the stroke, he was partially paralyzed. By 1950, his health had declined to the point where he required the use of a wheelchair. To manage his health, he underwent a strict diet consisting of boiled rice and apples, aimed at reducing his weight and blood pressure. Recognizing the need for specialized care, Curly's wife Valerie admitted him to the Motion Picture and Television Fund's Country House and Hospital on August 29, 1950. The facility provided medical treatment and support tailored to individuals in the entertainment industry. Curly spent several months there undergoing treatment and medical tests that aimed to alleviate some of his health issues. Despite periods of treatment and care, Curly's health remained fragile. In February 1951, he moved to a nursing home where he continued to receive medical attention. However, another stroke struck a month later, compounding his health challenges. Seeking the best care available, Curly relocated to the North Hollywood Hospital and Sanitarium in April, where he could receive specialized medical support in his battle against his declining health. In the last few years of his life, Curly faced a series of challenges that would ultimately lead to his untimely death. By December 1951, his health had deteriorated to a point where the North Hollywood Hospital and Sanitarium could no longer provide adequate care due to his mental decline. The nursing staff suggested placing Curly in a mental hospital, a proposition that Moe vehemently rejected. Instead, Curly was moved to the Baldy View Sanitarium in San Gabriel, California, where he could receive the specialized care he needed during his final days. The year 1952 brought a somber note to the Howard family. On January 7th, Moe Howard was summoned from the set of a Columbia film to assist in moving Curly, a task that proved to be unsuccessful. 11 days later, on January 18, 1952, Curly Howard passed away. His life was tragically cut short at the age of 48, making him the youngest of the Stooges to depart this world. The end of his journey marked a poignant moment in the legacy of the Three Stooges. Curly Howard's Jewish heritage was honored with a traditional funeral, and he was laid to rest in the Western Jewish Institute section of the Home of Peace Cemetery in East Los Angeles. In his final resting place, Curly was joined by his parents, Jenny and Solomon, as well as his older brothers Benjamin and Shemp, who themselves would pass away in the following years. The one guest at Curly's funeral that no one expected to see? Marion Buxbaum. She had a profound impact on Curly's life in more ways than one. After his tumultuous marriage to Valerie Newman, Curly's life took an unexpected turn when he crossed paths with Marion Buxbaum. A divorcee with a 10-year-old son, Marion quickly centered Curly's life, and the two embarked on a whirlwind romance. They wasted no time in tying the knot, marking another quick marriage in Curly's life. However, this marriage, like the previous ones, proved to be short-lived. Marion Buxbaum's presence in Curly's life raised eyebrows amongst his friends and relatives. Many suspected that she was after his money, capitalizing on his lack of expertise in handling both relationships and finances. Curly's history of being less than savvy when it came to women and money seemed to repeat itself in this new relationship. In an attempt to please Marion, Curly showered her with extravagant gifts, fur coats, jewelry, and even a luxurious house. These indulgences came at a steep cost, leading to conflicts and disagreements within the relationship. It wasn't long before tensions escalated and the couple found themselves at odds. The relationship deteriorated rapidly, and after just 3 months of marriage, they decided to part ways. The split between Curly and Marion was far from amicable. Their divorce proceedings became headline news, capturing the attention of scandal-hungry tabloids. Marion didn't hesitate to spread rumors about Curly, attempting to paint him as the wrongdoer in the situation. The divorce proceedings were marked by bitter disputes over money and assets, as Marion sought to secure as much as she could before the relationship completely dissolved. By the time the divorce was finalized in July 1946, Curly's health had taken a significant downturn. In May of that same year, he had suffered a major stroke while filming Half-Wit's Holiday. Looking back, many close to him speculated that Curly might have been experiencing a series of mini-strokes leading up to this critical moment. Despite his deteriorating health, Curly was determined to keep his condition under wraps, fearing that revealing his health struggles might lead to the dissolution of the Three Stooges act. To accommodate his health condition, Curly's brother Shemp returned to the team to temporarily take his place. The hope was that Curly's hiatus would be short-lived and that he would be able to rejoin the team after recovering. In a bid to uplift his spirits, Curly was given a brief cameo appearance in the 1947 short film Hold That Lion. However, as time passed, it became clear that his health was not improving enough to allow for a full return to the act. Curly's off-screen persona stood in stark contrast to his frenetic on-screen antics. He was an introverted individual who preferred solitude and rarely engaged in social interaction, unless alcohol was involved, a coping mechanism that became more prominent as the pressures of his career mounted. Unlike his famous slapstick routines, Curly reserved his comedic displays for family, audiences, or times when he was under the influence. His affection for stray dogs was a notable trait, highlighting his kind and compassionate nature. Throughout his life, Curly experienced 4 marriages and fathered 2 children, each relationship reflecting different facets of his personality. Let's take a look at each. Julia Rosenthal, 1930. Curly's first marriage was short-lived, ending in divorce a mere 5 months after the wedding. This occurred before his rise to fame with the Three Stooges. Elaine Ackerman, 1937 to 1940. In 1937, Curly married Elaine Ackerman, and their union brought forth a daughter named Marilyn the following year. Unfortunately, the marriage ended in divorce in 1940. After the divorce, Curly's health took a downturn as he battled weight gain and hypertension. He struggled with insecurities about his shaved head, believing it hindered his appeal to women. Marion Buxbaum, 1945 to 1946. Urged by his brother Moe, Curly sought companionship once again, hoping it would improve his health and stability. He married Marion Buxbaum after a mere 2-week courtship on October 17, 1945. However, this union lasted just 9 months and concluded with a bitter divorce. The sensationalist media coverage during their divorce proceedings took a toll on Curly's already fragile health. Valerie Newman, 1947 to 1952. On July 31, 1947, Curly married Valerie Newman. The couple welcomed a daughter named Janie in 1948. This marriage, unlike his previous ones, endured until Curly's untimely passing on January 18, 1952. Valerie remained by his side through his declining health. During World War II, when the Stooges' filming schedule allowed for breaks, Curly found respite and solace in performing for service members. However, the demanding work schedule took a toll on his well-being. Although he refrained from drinking while performing, he turned to nightclubs and excessive drinking to cope with stress after work. His extravagant spending habits, particularly on wine, food, women, and homes, often left him teetering on the brink of bankruptcy. To help him manage his finances, Moe took on the role of overseeing Curly's monetary matters, even assisting with his income tax returns. One of Curly's most notable characteristics off-screen was his profound affection for dogs. While on his journeys, Curly had a penchant for taking in stray dogs and providing them with a caring home until he could secure a permanent family for them. In fact, it's estimated that Curly welcomed nearly 5,000 dogs into his life over the years, often maintaining a household with as many as 7 dogs at any given time. Curly's deep bond with dogs was a consistent part of his life. He had an affinity for strays and would often adopt them during the Stooges' travels, providing them with care and a temporary home until he found them permanent placement elsewhere. Dogs also played a comforting role in his personal life, serving as loyal companions during his moments of solitude. The youngest member of the Howard family held such a strong affinity for dogs that he included a special provision in his Columbia contract. This clause granted him the privilege of having up to 2 of his beloved canine companions accompany him during filming. Therefore, if you happen to spot a dog appearing on screen during Curly's tenure as a member of the Stooges, it's highly likely that the dog was indeed his cherished companion. Curly's legacy is firmly ingrained in the hearts of fans and critics, many of whom consider him their favorite member of the Three Stooges. His unique comedic talents, natural improvisational skills, and unforgettable persona have left an enduring mark on American popular culture. Larry Fine, Curly's fellow Stooge, expressed his admiration in a 1972 interview, describing Curly as the greatest due to his spontaneous and untrained comedic brilliance. Curly's impromptu performances and on-the-spot creations added an unmatched level of humor to their routines. His signature catchphrases such as "nyuk nyuk nyuk," "woo woo woo," and "certainly" have become iconic elements of his legacy, instantly recognizable to audiences of all generations. Curly's influence on comedy extended beyond his lifetime. Steve Allen recognized him as an exceptional yet underappreciated comedic genius. His presence and impact were truly original, leaving an indelible mark on the world of entertainment. In the book The Columbia Comedy Shorts by Ted Okuda and Edward Watts, Curly's appeal and legacy are critically analyzed. The authors highlight his unparalleled ability to radiate energy and authentic joy. His comedic style was characterized by his uninhibited emotional expression and unfiltered reactions, creating a delightful sense of merriment. When faced with challenges, Curly's approach was uniquely childlike, characterized by playful grunts, self-slaps, and an unwavering determination to overcome obstacles. Curly's final resting place is at the Home of Peace Memorial Park, located in Los Angeles. He is interred in the Western Jewish Institute section of the cemetery, specifically in Row 5, Grave 1. This is where he was laid to rest, marking the spot where fans and admirers can pay their respects to the beloved comedian and entertainer. Curly's comedic genius continues to shine bright, impressing audiences with his unmatched humor and spontaneous antics. From his iconic catchphrases to his contagious laughter, Curly's legacy lives on, reminding us all to embrace joy and laughter. Don't miss out on reliving his timeless moments. Hit that like button and share your favorite Curly moments in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to click on the subscribe button so you won't miss any future updates. Thanks for watching.